Good evening, everybody, and welcome back for another instance of Wiggins' Spontaneous Wandering Adventures. Tonight, I am very excited. This is a sort of a special Wiggins Wandering, mostly because I'm not going to be really wandering around very much. That's what makes it special, or at least extremely different. And tonight, instead, I am going to be receiving some instruction. I am here with Nitesh, my guardian mentor here, who is going to show me everything that I need to know about being a 75th level guardian. Now that I've crossed that threshold and turned 75th level, I have much to learn. And in particular, I was you may remember if you've been following Wiggins Wanderings that time before last I was lamenting that I didn't know where to find really good legendary items, and Nitesh and some of his allies crafted some for me, which was awesome. And so now I have these really awesome legendary weapons, and I need to know what to do with them properly, as I've been kind of making up legendary item stuff as I went along, and there's a whole bunch of things that I have no idea what to do. As like, for instance, oops, that's the map. In my inventory here, I'm carrying 78 legendary shards in my inventory. I've been carrying legendary shards in my inventory for months and months and months, very faithfully hoarding them, and I have the faintest idea what those are for or how to use those, for instance. Because I'm kind of a pack rat, so I never throw anything away. So I'm like one of those people who almost never gets around to crafting and yet never throws away or sells a crafting ingredient when I find it, because you never know, right? So anyway, so here we are. So so thanks, Nitesh, for joining me tonight.
Certainly, I'm glad to join this effort and lend a hand. I'm pleased that you've been enjoying your new driver and other toys thus far.
Oh yeah.
Equip you with a little bit more before this evening's done.
Yeah, that'll be good. So I've kind of on purpose done almost nothing with my legendary items, just because I didn't put any relics in or anything like that yet, just because I wasn't sure I was doing that properly. So I wanted to make sure to that I was doing everything that I could do. So I've just kind of left them. I'll put them up on my screen here. So I have equipped, or not equipped. Yes, I have equipped one of my hammers, but I have both of the hammers sighted here in my legendary items. That's my old sword, good old Edwina, which just means sword friend. So that's my sword friend. My old 70. It's fully maxed out. What is it now? It was a minimum level 61 item. So as you can see from this, I've made settings, gems, and runes. I sort of put those up to the highest I could at the time. I have a platinum morale setting and a gem of endurance. I always like the endurance stuff to maximize my vitality, and my in combat morale regen, which seemed like a good thing. I remember pretty soon after I got my legendary weapons, especially when I was in the when I had just recently I think it was right when I got this one, when I was in the low 60s, and I was running the beginning of the volume 2 quest lines, and it was just really funny because like the Angmarim that I was fighting in those early instances were just like actually incapable of damaging me. Like I was just standing there surrounded by a crowd of like 5 different Angmarim, and they couldn't actually stay ahead of my morale regen, and I was like, this is really cool. I've got all day here.
Oh, I know exactly what you're saying, because my early days on Nitesh here were exactly the same. You're wandering into these areas, and if you started out in another type of character, like for instance, I started out with a hunter. That was my original guy, and with hunters you have to manage your aggro and your engagements very, very carefully, because it's so easy for them to get just swamped if you get too much. And I started out with that with Nitesh, and then I quickly realized, well, geez, he's not getting dented, and so I started adding 2, 4, 6, 10 guys, and I'm handling them all, and I'm doing these circly, just like tornado swings with
Yes.
stuff, and they're just dying, and I'm just giggling like a little kid because it's so fun.
It's so satisfying. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. No, this character, Wigend was my first character. So Guardian is still kind of my default assumption.
Yes.
This is one reason why Grifflet is so often in mortal peril, because I treat him in combat like a Guardian, basically. So it never even occurs to me to do anything different than just stand toe to toe. Yeah.
I've noticed, because I've been following Grifflet's adventures quite closely, that he's getting better. He is getting better.
Yeah, I think switching to red line was a good move. So that was handy. But yeah, no, I try to remember to actually sneak up on things occasionally. But good. Well, okay. So let me see. What else do I have here? I've got my. So this is not the belt that you gave me there. Sorry, because I still have equipped my other belt here, because I had.
Yes.
I had.
So.
Yeah. This is okay. This is another one. So I was gonna deconstruct this one. Because this one is maxed out, and this is my old one, and this is another like level 60-ish item, 66 that I've just been ranking up. So I'm gonna. This is another one. This was another gift that was sent to me by Bella. That was very nice, and this is a 75 one. So I was gonna rank that one up too, but these two I was just gonna deconstruct, and I will bid farewell to my old friend Edgewinna here. I also will say I deconstructed some other things, and as you can see in my inventory here, when it comes up on the stream, I know there's a little bit of lag that you and I are speaking in real time, but you're not seeing in real time, so I'm trying to be mindful of that as we move forward. I just deconstructed a bunch of other things when I equipped the 2 hammers that you gave me. And I saved like all the stuff because I don't know what to do with it. So I have also here in my inventory a title, an elven orc-hewer title.
Okay. And
several other. I've got a scroll of greater empowerment, which I don't really know what that does. And I've got a greater scroll of delving, which I think is good.
Yes. Yes, it is.
And I also have several class legacy, like major class legacies and minor weapon legacies and that kind of thing that I could swap in. I saved some of my favorite of the legacies from the previous weapons that I got rid of. So, and again, my usage of these things has always been haphazard. I have a bunch of scrolls of renewal. This is another thing, by the way. I've been carrying them around faithfully, accumulating scrolls of renewal and lesser scrolls of renewal. I don't really understand what they do, but that doesn't stop me from carrying them around extremely faithfully. So I have some of those too. And then again, as I said, I have both some legendary shards and some legendary fragments, which I suspect to have something to do with crafting, but I don't know what to do with them. So.
All right, so let's dive into this. You've spent time here in Galptreb before, yes? Am I understanding that correctly?
That is correct.
All right. So let's head right up here to the Forge and Relic Masters. They're right over here. And I'm going to get up on the table because I don't care.
Right, and you're a dwarf, so that seems only polite. Okay, so I'll talk to the Relic Master here. So first is just to deconstruct those two older weapons, or
all right. Before you do that, let's ask this quickly, because we're gonna take a few minutes to go ahead and go over a few things here, because
good.
There's some important things that'll be helpful to know. Number one, the relics. Let me get over here so I can take a look and see the screen. Hopefully this stinking advertisement will pass quickly, and I will be able to get a good close look at. Oh, now it's going to do that. All right, I'll tell you what. It's probably going to be easier if you simply tell me.
Okay.
If you will go ahead and Shift I to pull up your legendary items screen.
Yep, got that.
But let's go ahead and take a look at your sword first.
Okay.
Now, the settings that you have in it, the settings, gems, and runes, the setting, what tier are you showing for
Okay,
those?
I've got a tier 7 setting of morale.
Ah, very good. The
Yeah,
tier
as it.
sevens are excellent. Tier eights would actually be on level,
Okay.
but in the perfect world, tier eight is what we would be shooting for.
Okay.
But tier sevens, especially if you can get a decently crafted one, or I shouldn't say crafted, but a decently melded one,
Right.
um, uh, will last a good long time. I have had legendary items with lesser tier settings, gems, runes that I had melded up that I kept for a good long while because it can be rather rough getting all of the um, all of those that you need in order to be able to uh, go ahead and meld up your the one that you want.
Right. Right.
So that's a good one. What gem are you currently working on? Is that also a tier? Are all three of them tier sevens?
Let's see. That my gem is also tier 7. It's a tier 7 gem of endurance,
Yes.
and my rune is a tier 8 actually of deflection.
Oh, very
Well,
good.
so
Very
okay,
good.
so I kind of all right. Well, I was going to say I sort of cheated. It's not cheating. What it is just
Hmm.
like an extremely simplistic and simple-minded way of doing this. The way I've always handled the legendary items has been I've just had like
Hmm.
the one sword and the one belt that I had equipped,
Yep.
and
Yep.
I use the I don't actually like switch out with anything. Like I don't have multiple weapons for different situations or
Ah.
anything because
Hmm.
that would be like complicated, and I'm very simple minded. So I just have the one weapon and the one belt. So I only set relics in those two. And then the
Okay.
others, so the other four, I keep relic free because I basically was only just using them. I had them sighted so that they would level up just for like relic farming, essentially.
Okay.
And so when those got to max level, I would deconstruct them, and then
Hmm.
I would go to, and so I'd get a whole bunch of relics, and then I would go to the relic
Hmm.
forging tab on
Yep.
on the relic forge, and I would just use
Oh
the auto
yes.
combine
Hmm.
and like combine them all up, and that's how I would get like a level 7 or tier 7 or tier 8, because all I would need right is like two of each,
Yep.
ultimately to set in the belt and in the sword.
Yep.
Um, so
No,
that's
that's
been my method.
absolutely excellent. That is more or less what you want to do. And in fact, I would suggest, and we'll go into this a little bit more because this is part of the system that I was taught and that I've been going by, and that I try to go ahead and give to folks to be able to go ahead and build the quantity of settings and so forth that you have,
Okay.
to be able to meld these wonderful, even more capable settings, gems, runes, and so forth.
Yes.
So that's a great start. That's an excellent start, in fact. Um, Okay, just to back up just a little bit because I heard what you said in regards to the weapons. Just having the one that you use
Yes.
and the belt. This goes kind of towards the whole um, tactic of guardians
Mm-hmm.
and where the various things are useful. Um, of course, you have your opportunity to use two-handed weapons with
Right.
this, and that sacrifices a little bit of defense,
Right.
as opposed to sword and shield, or the typical term for it is sword and board.
Sword and board. Right.
Exactly. Um, that goes very the those two concepts go really nicely in terms of the general situations that you find. In most situations, you're out on the landscape, you're questing, you're doing various things, just roaming the countryside, whether you're deeding or whether you're going ahead and farming for various things. You really don't need to emphasize the defense as much because you're not dealing with very focused mobs that are coming in hell-bent for leather, blood in their eye, and very, very powerful, typically overpowerful, unless, of course, you stumble into something like a roving threat or so forth,
Right.
which we know happens.
Right.
Thank you, certain friend.
Right.
But because of that, you don't need to have as much defense, and it makes your life a whole lot easier, makes your work a whole lot quicker if you have a little bit more offense. And that's where these two-handed weapons, like, for instance, I call the driver.
Right.
The big two-hander is most definitely a driver.
Right.
You sacrifice a little of your defense, but you pick up a nice amount of offense.
Right, and that I imagine that would be especially good since I have been running yellow line when I've been running solo, and so if I imagine that makes it more efficient if I'm attacking 4 or 5 mobs at once.
Exactly so.
Yeah.
Exactly so, and that's exactly how I run. And there's also this. What you can do is you've already taken a look at these various relics, and you've seen how each one does a little bit different thing.
Mm-hmm.
You can use when you have a situation like this where you set yourself up with one weapon that you use for when you're out on the landscape, like we've just talked about, and a different one for your sword and board, your tanking, your real serious in instances and skirmishes and stuff like that when you need the defense.
Right.
You can have weapons set up for the different thing. One that emphasizes the damage, and the other that emphasizes a little bit more of the defensive potential, the ability to regenerate morale better, that sort of thing. And so that's typically what you'll see. And when you start getting into especially groups of folks who do these things more seriously, they will have a completely different set of equipment for each thing that they're doing. Like when they're out on the landscape, they've got one which is just all rawr all the time.
Right.
And then the Guardian who's going into tank mode, he's got the stuff. He couldn't. It's like he's swinging a feather when it comes to damage, but can he pick off the mobs, and he can suck it up, and he's got stuff that enables him to go ahead and benefit even more from incoming healing and the like, and things like that.
Right.
And when you're in the process of setting up, especially your legendary items, the legacies that you have on it and the relics that you have on it will all help you emphasize those aspects so that you can benefit from them even more.
Right.
And in terms of the relics, one of the easy things that we've got is, especially if you've gotten some good ones, and even if you don't, but you want to reuse them to do more with them, create more relics, do some more forging to get yourself a higher tier of relics, is that there are things available to us which can allow you to remove those relics and reuse them again. And that becomes especially useful when you have these relics that you've melded, and they're very good ones, and you don't necessarily need to create a new one, but you can use this one or you can use the ones that you had in an older version, and they will work successfully in the newer version. I've done that on a number of times, and that's very useful.
Cool. So hang on a second. I can take the relics off?
Yes.
I didn't even know correct. I could do that. Okay.
Indeed you can.
Yeah.
In fact, if we pull up our Relic Forge,
our
Forge Master here, you've got your 3 tabs: Forging, Deconstruct, Melding, Refine.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and look under Melding.
Okay.
Now I'm going to say go ahead and collapse all, so you're just looking at all of the various lists there.
Okay, yeah.
The first thing that we're going to do is we're going to look at Legendary Support.
I never collapsed them all. I didn't even know those things were down there. I never scrolled down far enough even to see those. Okay. All right.
Oh, there's some very important things.
Wow. Okay. All right.
Now, the thing that allows you to remove the legacies is not here. We'll have to go to another place for that, but these are important. These are some of the things that you're talking about.
Yeah.
And the legacy removal is in a similar vein to this. You can see the Scrolls of Delving. Scrolls of Delving, what those do, and you mentioned that you had one, and this is why this is important. This allows you to unlock an additional 10 levels on your legendary. So instead of running a level, or instead of it leveling up to 60 with all of the benefits that accrue, you get an additional 10.
Right.
Now, where this comes in nicely is the points that you distribute among your legacies. So that's not a bad thing.
Okay.
The Scrolls of Empowerment allow you to create to raise the tier of your legacies from a base of 1 to a max of 6.
Okay.
Now, of course, in the process of reforging, when you reforge it, you get an additional tier. It'll ask you if you want to go ahead, and raise the tier of one or another legacies.
Right.
This allows you to do it with whichever one you want, whenever you want.
Right.
And a legendary item that has really been gone over seriously and solidly is going to have somebody who spent a lot of time, picked up all of the necessary Scrolls of Empowerment that he needs.
Yeah.
And he's basically taken all of his legacies and ranked them up to tier 6, all of them across the board.
Okay.
An example of that, just to show you, is I'm going to link you the belt that I currently have on. I haven't switched to a new one yet, but this is my current that I am working with. I put it in our fellowship chat right there, so you can pull that up and take a good look at him.
Okay. Let's see. So it's the Guardian's Belt of the... Hang on a second.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Reshape Guardian's Belt of the First Age. This was a reward from a raid.
It's called the Belt of the Paragon. Is that the one?
That's what I've named it. Yes.
Okay.
Sir.
Yeah. All right.
That gets into a whole story, but I'll save that.
Okay. And again, hang on a second. I'm trying to. Oh, there we go. Okay.
If you right click on it, it'll pull that up, and you can go ahead and see, and you can
All
see
right.
each one of my legacies on it.
Plus 5 challenge targets. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
I tiered that up to maximum, which is a tier 6, and then the greatest rank that you can actually build that up to is rank 5, which is an additional 5 challenge targets.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, it's fun. It's fun to see a whole bunch of guys just start coming after you.
Absolutely. Because that's a really expensive legacy. I mean, in points, expensive legacy, the challenge target one. I've gotten that one before.
Yeah.
Okay.
It does. You will find that certain ones do eat up the points, and there's no avoiding it.
Yeah.
But that one in particular is well worth the effort.
134 vitality.
Oh yeah.
Wow. So that's okay. Yeah. So I've been vaguely aware that legacies had tiers. I mean, I noticed it when reforging, and I was asked to do, but I didn't. I'm only just now kind of. Mousing over some of my legacies, like on my old sword, which I'm prepared to say goodbye to this evening, and I'm finding some of them, one of them is my vexing blow damage one is tier 5. I have no idea how it got to be tier 5. I have no memory of increasing that, and to that I have no idea.
Well, it could have happened one of two ways, and it may have been a combination of both. It could have started out either at tier 5 to begin with, or it was 1 or even possibly 2 below, and in the process of reforging it, you went ahead and you chose it, which was not a bad idea, because Vexing Blow is a really useful thing to have.
Especially as I was running Yellow Line, so I have both Vexing Blow and Whirling Retaliation damage increase on this sword. the bleed critical. So this has been this has been a good sword.
Yes.
I've been happy with that. But okay, so now what exactly does the tier do? I mean, like, so what's the difference between a tier 1 legacy and a tier 2 legacy?
The tiers of the legacy determine how many points you spend for each rank. The higher the tier on your legacy, the lower the number of points that you have to spend to increase that legacy's ranks.
Okay.
So, in other words, if you have a tier 1 legacy, say tier 1 for challenge targets.
Right.
Each rank at tier 1 is going to cost you
like 50.
It's
an enormous number.
Points,
yes.
Or more, because we know that number increases each time you increase a rank. The higher, as you increase the tiers of that legacy, the number of points it takes to bump that rank up drops.
Okay.
And at tier 6, as opposed to tier 1, that drop is dramatic.
Okay.
So it is definitely it is worthwhile to increase your tiers when the opportunity arrives.
Okay.
When you have the availability of something like Scroll of Empowerment. Now, for most legendary items, I am going to tell you, people are not going to take that effort when you're dealing with like third age items.
Right.
But when you start getting into the more quality ones, like the second age items, and like your belt, which is first age, just like my belt of the Paragon is,
right,
it becomes more and more worthwhile to really put that time and effort into it, put those expenses into it, because when you do, these items will definitely pay you back for it.
Yeah.
And when you have the benefit of a first age item, you want to go out of your way to put as much into it to max it out if at all possible.
Yeah.
Get all of those tiers up, just like you see here. You want to use upgrades, which we'll talk about in a while. You definitely want to delve it so that it goes from 60 to 70 in terms of that. And you want to give it the absolute best of relics that you can.
Okay.
That's the general idea. First age is always worth that time and effort to get as much out of it as you can.
Yeah, definitely. No, that's why it's exactly why I haven't touched them yet, and I haven't even cited the belt yet because I still have these other belts that I want to deconstruct today. But I was just noticing that the this other crafted belt, the third age belt, the level 75 one that I was just given as well, has comes with the challenge targets one, and it's got a tier 4 already with the challenge targets.
Let me ask you this, because there is also a difference here.
Okay.
You will notice that some of the legacies are bounded by gold, whereas some of them are bounded by silver.
Are those major and minor legacies?
That is the difference between major and minor.
Okay. Yeah.
And we always want to get as many majors as we can.
Okay.
So what we want to do is take a look and we always want to get the major ones to be the legacies that are of most powerful benefit to us.
Yeah.
So you want to take a look at, where are you going to get benefit? Like the challenge targets. If you can have that as a major legacy on your belt, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And shield damage would be another example of one, because you want stuff that's going to do shield damage for yourself,
right?
Especially when you're in your defensive posture. Right. Because that's going to give you a little bit of benefit there that you didn't have, or that you need just to keep things active for yourself, so that you're not doing nothing.
Right.
If you'll pardon my poor English there.
No. It's perfectly legitimate. Okay. Good. So, and now I notice sometimes when I have, because when I deconstruct my old maxed out item, and it lets me keep one of the legacies, and I choose which one of the legacies I want to keep. Now, I've noticed that sometimes I will often kind of keep one, planning to put it on my new weapon, but then it won't go on the new weapon. Like I right click it and it doesn't have my new weapon as an option. Do you know why does that happen?
Well, two reasons. Number one, you need to number one, you have to have a proper, how to explain this. You're swapping them out according to the type of legacy that it is, whether it's a major or minor. That's number one.
I see. Okay.
Number two is you need to. There is a level limit. If you take a look at the ones that you have popped off.
Right. Yeah, I'm doing that right now.
And I don't have any ready here, unfortunately. But if you take a look at the ones that you have popped off, you will see that it is capable. It is good only for level such and such and down. There is a max. There is a max that it is able to work up to, and if you're seeing that a legacy, when you try to click on it to use it on something, that the item that you want to use it on isn't there, that's because the level of that item is greater than the legacy is able to work with.
Okay.
And that number will be on the removed legacy for you to see, so you can see whether or not it's going to work as planned.
I see. Okay. All right. I'm okay. All right, I'm understanding that a little bit better. Good. Mm-hmm. Okay. I think I get that now. Let's
before you break anything.
Okay.
Let's take a quick run over to the I want to take a quick run over to here to where the vault and auction house is here in Galtrev.
Okay.
Because I do have some stuff for us to go ahead and look at, and we should be able to go in here and get what we need. Yes, this is with the auction house. The auction house, by the way, is your friend, because very often you can find what you need in this place.
Lovely. I'm even more ignorant about the auction house than I am about legendary items. So, there you are.
Over here.
There you are. Okay. Over at the Vault Keeper, right?
Okay. Now, I am going to go ahead and open my vault and look under my legendary stuff. Oh, don't tell me he doesn't have one. He doesn't have one because I've used them.
Oh, wow.
Only Darren Thalion has them. So, we will take a run over to the auction here.
Thanks, D-May. D-May Therial just sent me like a whole bunch of relics. Whoa!
Oh.
Holy cow! Wow! Thank you, Scott. And D-May's son just sent me a Westfold Device of Might.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's okay. Right.
Yep.
Woohoo! Thank you.
All right.
Thank you. Good mail day. Okay.
Oh, very good mail day. All right. If you come over here, you can see some of what is available for sale.
All right.
Yes. Here we go. Right here. Here you go. I have linked in Fellowship an example of a relic removal scroll. Now, the unfortunate thing about this is that these are quite expensive.
Okay. So,
for instance, the ones that I am seeing in auction currently, I am seeing some that are actually auctioning for like 5 gold and so forth, but that's actually setting up you bid and you hope you get it. The buy it nows that I am finding, the buyouts are going for 33, 35 gold. And that's probably what they'll be, because it's a relatively rare item and it's very, very powerful.
Mm-hmm.
But if you take a look at that and what it does for you, and these are the relic removal scrolls that I get, as far as I've ever been able to see thus far, are all universal use. In other words, you get one, you can use it on any level. I haven't seen them limited,
okay.
Which, thank God, at the price. But they will safely unslot all of your all of the settings, gems, runes, and so forth, all of your relics, and we'll put them back into your relic pool for you to work with. So if you have the money, and if you have a good set of relics that you want to remove, it is well worth your time and effort to come over to the auction hall and see if anybody has these for sale and get them.
Right.
They will save you a little time and effort in making new ones from time to time, especially after you've gone to the effort to meld,
right.
as we'll be discussing in a little bit here.
Right. So I have 2 7s and an 8. Do you think that's worth the 35 gold or whatever?
I would ask you this: how are your quantities of relics in those levels? Do you have lots?
Oh, in those levels? No. Right now, I've got my base. Okay. Oh, look at that. I do have. Hey, I didn't even know that. Okay, I have 2 tier 7 runes. Well, plus actually, I just got this mail, so I don't even know what I have now because I got all those relics in the mail just now. So I should probably check those. But I do seem to have 2 tier 7 runes, and 1 tier 6. The gems and settings that I have currently, just like in my relic inventory, there are all tier 4 and down. But I have a fair quantity of them, and that's even before I deconstruct. So I could probably make the 7s and 8s again pretty easily, especially since I have those 2 that I could meld. So
well, yeah. I will tell you what. For the sake of experimentation and also to help you along, let me go ahead and I will give you this.
Oh, well, thank you.
You're certainly welcome. And then we'll head back out here to the Relic and Forge.
Okay.
And we'll go ahead and we'll start some work.
All right. Let me clear out of all these.
And the first thing that we'll do is we'll see how many more relics that you've got. Oh dear, it's raining. Boo. Let's get undercover again because metal rusts.
Yeah. Yeah, we don't want to be taking these things out in the rain.
Yeah, the polishing bill is a pain.
Absolutely. I don't want to get rain spots all over my nice new gear.
Amen to that.
Okay. And I am lagging badly as usual.
Oh.
My poor system is laboring under
all sorts of fun stuff.
All sorts of fun stuff. The game and streaming and recording and running Skype too. Okay, just ran past. All right, overshot it. Come on, turn. There we go. All right.
All right, there we are.
All right, under the awning.
All right.
All right.
Let's go ahead and start with the Relic Master.
Okay, got it.
What we're going to do here is, first of all, under Deconstruct, you should have whatever you were just sent in terms of relics and so forth.
Yeah, let me go back to that here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I am detaching those. Okay.
Yep.
Thank you. And then one more. Okay. All right. So I will deconstruct those then.
Yep. Let's see what you've got.
Okay. Sealed Westfold Device of Might.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Yeah.
That's a really good one, by the way. You're going to use that.
All right. Now I've got a gold setting of will.
That's not bad.
And 4 fused deep relics. So let's see.
Those you're going to deconstruct right
Okay,
off
those
the
are
bat. Nice tile.
Okay, it gave me 1 platinum setting. Okay, so I'm getting a bunch of tier 7s here.
Mm-hmm.
An adamant gem. So a tier 7 gem. A fortune. Mysterious, that's tier 7, yeah. Mysterious Room of Defense. And Mysterious Rune of Deflection. Okay, and now I've got another gold setting of might here. And a gold setting of morale. And a ruby gem. Okay, that one's tier 6 too. I would love to. I often think when I come to these, like, thinking of the charts that they must have made at Turbine of like the hierarchy of adjectives that they use, you know, no, we used subtle already. We have to come up with another adjective. Subtle is tier 6, people. Come on.
Yeah, it's they have to be massive.
Yes. Yeah. Somewhere there has to be an adjective spreadsheet. It must exist. Okay. All right. I've deconstructed all of those, and hang on, I've got a random non-class item that I had in my inventory. Okay. And another one there too. I don't need that one either. Okay. All right.
Well, this is a very good start.
Okay.
All right.
There we go.
The next thing that we're going to do is let's go ahead. Which item would you say has the better relics at this point? You've got the same ones on both the belt and your sword.
Well, okay, funny story. I just checked my belt and found I don't have any relics on my belt. I apparently I must have been in a big hurry when I put that one on and totally forgot to put any relics on it. So that one has no relics, but I do have I have the relics on the sword, and that seems to be it.
Oh dear. Okay, yeah. Well, that makes things a whole lot easier.
Yeah.
To show you how that relic removal scroll works, let's go ahead and use it on your sword, since that's going to get busted up today as well.
Okay. Yes. All right. So go ahead and use it on my sword. So I will. Okay. Yep. My sword is the only one it gives me the option for, because it's the only one that has any relics.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yes, I want to unslot all the relics from there. All right, there they went.
Excellent. Okay, all right, so those have gotten pulled back into your pool. You now have them to work with, and you'll find them. They'll be useful.
Yeah, that's
all
great.
Right. Now let's go ahead. The first thing I'm going to do. Let's go ahead. I think we're going to set up your weapons first. And let's start out with the two-handed in this case.
Okay.
Because the relics that you just got, in particular, hang on a second here. Let me pull this up. The setting that you just got of might is tailor-made for your hammer. For the two-handed hammer. Okay. So let's go ahead and pull that up. Have you actually attached that to yourself yet? Slotted that yet?
I've not slotted it. Oh yes, I did slot the hammer. Yes.
Okay. Both of the hammers, both the one-handed and the two-handed?
Correct.
Okay. So let's go to the two-hand.
Okay. Yep. I got the two-handed here.
Excellent. Now what I want you to do is under settings. Let's go ahead and put the new setting of might that you got.
Okay, so now this one is under my crafted relics.
No, this should not be under your crafted.
No, this one is actually.
Oh, it is under.
It is under. Yeah, I was panicking for a moment because I couldn't find it in my settings, but it's in crafted actually.
Even better. So let's go ahead and set that in your craft. And it's tailor-made for that, and that should provide you excellent service there.
Lovely. So this okay, it's a plus 30 might. Great.
Oh, yes.
Great.
Now, what we're going to do is let's go ahead and go. We'll do your settings, gems, and runes on this as well to go ahead and get this set up.
Okay.
Since this is the two-hand, remember, this is our more offensive weapon.
Right.
What we're going to want to do with this is go ahead and, again, the things that help you with that. Generally, you're looking at morale, you're looking at will, you're looking at might, you're looking at power, possibly a few others. But the one that concerns you the most, and it's your most important stat, is might.
Right.
And that gives you offensive capability as well as some other good defenses. So let's go ahead and slot in your settings the highest relic that you have for might.
Well, I could probably do better than 7 though, right? I mean, 7 is the highest.
You could.
Well, actually,
let's ask this first. Then.
And I don't even actually have a might one. I've got 2 tier 7 settings, and I've got 2 tier 7 gems, and I have a tier 8 rune and 4 tier 7 runes. So I could probably do some forging or melding and
Yes, we could.
both forging and melding and get again, that's what I know how to do, and turn that into at least a tier 8, right?
Okay. What I indeed so. I was thinking to keep it fairly simple with your hammers, and
Okay.
then we would go in for some of the more intricate work on
With
the
the
belt.
belt, right? Because the belt is
Exactly.
the first age belt, right?
So what we can do is, do you have any more forging to do in tiers 5 or 6 to build up to 7 and 8?
Oh, sure. Yeah, I've got a bunch of lower level things.
Okay.
I got a whole bunch of those. I mean, should I go through and just like
Yes.
forge a bunch of those? Should I deconstruct
Yes.
my other like my old belts and things first?
I would say that that's a good idea as well,
All right,
and give us as great a body of relics to work from as possible. That's a very good idea.
let's do that. Okay, so let's okay, I will get rid of that one. Okay, let's see. All right, I gotta select my legacy here. Now that I know that gold and silver thing, that makes a big difference here. I'll say okay. So I've got cry resist chance, adaptability, block and parry, and guardian's ward block rating are my 3 majors on this belt.
Okay, a few things to think about in these terms, and remember, the legacies from the belt will only cross over to the belt. They're not usable on anything else.
Right.
The things that you want to consider in these terms are that what makes a guardian tick? Number 1, might. Number 2, vitality. Of course, basic stats. But in terms of the other things that help make them tick, the things that kick off all of your skills in your cycle and so forth, everything works off of block and parry, a little bit evade.
Mm-hmm.
So stuff which increases your ability to block and parry or keys off of that is well worth your time to look at. It's something that you want to consider for it. Okay. Because that's going to set off a whole list of actions that you can do. You're going to get all sorts of block and parry reactions, and so anything that builds them up is well worth looking at. So that's a legacy that's worth considering.
Okay.
Other things, critical defense. Anything that works with critical defense. Your mitigations are important because anything that reduces the incoming damage is nice, but you're already doing block, parry, and evade to get by a good chunk of that. Mm-hmm. So the only other thing that you really need to worry about, typically speaking, is for the huge burst damage that comes from when something crits you. So anything that builds your critical defense is another thing that you want to key on in those terms. And this goes not just for your legacies, but when you're looking at relics as well. And that will come into play more and more as we start melding. But for now, legacies. So stuff that deals with that.
Okay.
Again, like we talked about when I showed you the belt, and we talked about the area of effect, anything that helps you increase the area of effect of your taunts, the number of people that you can affect at a given time. Those are good things to look for.
It does look like both the first stage belt that you gave me and the other crafted belt that I got both have the target one.
That is a beautiful thing.
On challenge targets, yes. They both have challenge target legacy. So, all right. So I'm going to choose the adaptability, block, and parry rating then.
That sounds like a good one.
To extract from that. And, of course, it's got a whole pile of low-level things. And now I'm going to... Oh, hang on a second. I forgot that I need to unequip my current belt there. Okay, now it shows up here and I can deconstruct that too. Okay, let's see. Plus 1% shield damage. That seems
that's good.
Yeah,
that's a good one.
That's would be my choice there. Okay, good. And another big old pile of things plus Right. Okay. Good. All right.
Professor, one other thing we do want to bear in mind is that unless you're very, very fortunate, you are going to have some minors, and you might want to change out some of those minors as
Right.
well.
Right.
And we do have, through the relic forging system, particularly through the melding, we do have the ability to go ahead and give ourselves some select legacies. So we can replace some of our legacies with stat builders. Like, for instance, you saw where I have Vitality as one of my belt builds. So we do have that option as well. That is a good fallback.
Okay.
But don't necessarily ignore the legacies, the minor legacies that are coming off of the items that you're breaking, because there may be something useful there.
Okay. All right. I'm going to cash in my old faithful sword here. This is always a melancholy moment. Okay, this is the one I've got: Whirling Retaliation, Vexing Blow, Warrior's Heart, and those are only the two majors I had on the sword. But I really like my minors, which are Warrior's Heart duration, Bleed critical damage, and Guardian bleed damage.
Oh, take your pick of those. Oh, I'll take a look. Take a look at. Well, you're not going to have any minors on them yet, so this is kind of, if you'll pardon the term, crapshoot.
Right.
You'll find what it builds out to. You won't know until you actually get there. So I would just go ahead and pick out the one of those perhaps that you're happiest with, or take a look at the items, the two hammers now,
right,
and see if the majors that you have on the sword, if one of them would do well. Although, that may be a problem because you're not busting like for like.
Yeah,
they may not be able to. They may not scale up.
Right, so. Right. Okay, so I actually, the two hammers, I sighted them when I leveled up, and they actually, I've reforged them each once actually. Just during the course of my last stream, I accidentally leveled them up. So they do each have a minor now. One has the Warrior's Heart one already, and the other one got Turn the Tables cooldown. Which I'm a big fan of, by the way.
Yeah. That's a good one. Turn the Tables is a big one. You want that one to come off as quickly as you can.
Absolutely, yeah. Many's the time I've wished that cooled down faster, so I like that one. Though the Guardian bleed damage, I also like for the minor. But I think I'd well now, and as you said, it might not go to the other. It might have the different maximum, so it might not go anywhere.
Yeah, it may not, because the sword is what level?
The sword is 61. 60? Yeah, 61.
61. So the likelihood is probably not, but we'll see.
Okay. All right. Well, why don't I take the bleed damage there, because that would go that would go better on my offensive weapon anyway. So all right.
Nope, 65 is the limit. 65 is the limit on it. If you roll over minor weapon legacy Guardian bleed damage, maximum target level is 65.
Yeah. Okay.
Now the two belt ones that you had, the shield damage, that's 75. The block and parry rating,
75.
Ability block and parry is 75. Okay. So you're in good shape on those.
Okay.
Do you have any others to break?
Nope. That's it.
That is the full list.
So
okay.
Now I can slot the big belt.
Yep. Slot the big belt, because we're going to build that baby up.
Okay. All right, slotted.
Now, the next step that we want to take at this point, let's go ahead and do some of our housekeeping. Let's go ahead and relic forge everything up that we can. Start at level 1 and work your way up.
Now I just do auto combine. Is there any actual? I've always wondered about this. Is there any actual recipe? Can you predetermine what you actually get, or if you? I mean,
there may be. but I haven't run across it.
Okay, so I've always auto combined chiefly
Yeah.
because I'm lazy, but
Same.
I didn't. I've always wondered, like, if I do them in particular combinations, will that actually generate the things that I want? But
You're
okay.
just as well go off. You're just as well off working with the auto combine,
Mm-hmm.
and the reason that I say so is especially as we go along, after we get finished working with your working with the ones that you're going to use. I'm going to go ahead and talk about a system that I got into. Um, just an interesting thing. This I didn't find out about it until I was wandering around Wildermore, and then a good friend of mine who's an RK, and he's a bit of a min-max crazy man, but he likes to dig into the guts of all of this stuff
Right.
and work the numbers up one side and down the other.
Right. Right.
And what he found is that what you can do is you can open up additional tabs to slot legendaries in, let them go ahead and level them up, work them to max, and once you've got the first set to max, you can just keep feeding them and feeding them and feeding them in, because when you break one, everything from that, the experience pill gets plowed into the one that replaces it,
Right.
and you're almost to max on that one, and you just keep going and going and going.
Right.
And through this process, you build up your number of relics to a very large critical mass.
Right.
And then there's a trick after that we get into that allows you to work with them better. You've seen shards.
Yes.
Just like you've got here.
Yeah.
Shards are kind of the glue and substitute version of gold and silver and so forth that we use to do, in particular, melding. And you can never have too many shards.
Yes, my number of shards is relatively low because I just melded like a tier 8 on my Runekeeper the other night. So.
Yep. So what you do, and this will work for any tune. When you get this cycle of legendaries going, where you're building and then busting them, and you create all of these relics to work with, once you have a large enough number, what you do is you get them up to you get the relics to tier 6, and then you refine them
At tier 6.
At tier 6.
Okay.
And the reason we do that at tier 6 as opposed to large, because larger you're going to actually be using them in
right.
your legendary items. But tier 6 is where the forging process, really going beyond that, gets burdensome in terms of cost.
Right.
Because all of a sudden you're looking at a cost, at tier 1, starting at tier 1, it's 2 silver to forge.
Right.
At tier 5, to get from 5 to 6, it's 82 silver.
Right.
But then at tier 6, all of a sudden you're looking at 64, 7, 328. It doubles.
Right.
And it becomes prohibitively costly in terms of your wallet, unless you're sitting on ridiculous amounts of gold.
Right.
So we build it up to tier 6 is a good point where the costs are still contained by the benefits that you get.
Right.
And the amount of shards that you realize when you're in the process of refining tier 6, well, it's a healthy amount. Let's just put it that way.
Okay.
And they build very, very quickly, especially when you're refining 200 relics.
Right.
And once you get this system rolling, that number builds really pretty quickly.
I think this is the most, but just for the record, the most relics I've ever had.
Mm-hmm.
I'm now, I think that's all right. I just finished tier 3. Now moving up to tier 4. And in tier 4, okay, I still have double digits in like most of the categories in tier 4 now.
Mm-hmm. That's fine. We want to continue. We want to continue moving up.
Yeah.
Because remember, you need to use level or tier 7 or tier 8.
Right. Right.
So to start, when we're talking about here, to start out, he says, tell Corey to spam click his auto combine.
Just keep going. Okay.
Yeah.
How do I get the? Can I get the dialog box? I just move it over there. Okay. All right. Okay, that's easier.
Yep.
All right. Okay, I didn't know that would work.
Yep.
Oh wait. Oh, too many requests. I over spammed it.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, Ocho. There we go.
Yep.
Okay, that's good.
Yep. Yeah. So this first time through, we're not going to worry about refining too much. That is a process for the future going forward.
Right.
Once we finish today, you want to make sure that you always keep and are building legendaries and then getting them maxed out to break them. And you want to take them to max because that's where the best payoff in relics is for you, along with other benefits. So tonight we're going to take them up to, we're going to go ahead and forge all the way up to tier 7 or tier 8, whichever you're comfortable with, whichever you're, most importantly, your wallet is comfortable with.
Yeah, it should be okay. I've never been confronted with a limitation in that regard. Wigan's not like massively rich. I've got like 85 gold and pretty much nothing else to do with it. So, okay, all right. I'm up to tier 6 now, so I'll keep going from tier 6.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I actually never even ever paid attention to how much money this ever cost before. I've just
it adds up.
It does begin
really
to add up
does.
at the higher levels. Yeah. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
All right. Okay. So I'm up to 7 now. I have still bunches of these. I could clearly go to tier 8. So
let's go ahead and do it then. It's worth doing it this once to get yourself really set up and ready to go for the future. And look how many shards you got on that crit.
Yeah, that was good. That was good. Okay, so that means I'm up to 700 shards now. All right, so tier 8, I've got.
You don't want to go higher at this point because your number one, your legendaries can't use them.
Oh, okay.
Number two, it like I said, it gets prohibitively expensive.
Okay, so all right, yeah, I've got a bunch of these now. So so I'm looking for. All right, well, hang on. So I can now just look at them over here. Mm-hmm. Okay, so I've got. I do have oh look, I got might and morale. Lovely.
Yes. See, here's what I would suggest for the setting for each of the hammers. For the two-handed, might, because you want to emphasize the offensive component of it.
Right.
For the single-handed, we want to go with the morale to emphasize the defensive side of it.
Okay, I got the might in the two-handed and morale in the one-handed.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
In the gems section.
Yeah.
If you want to go ahead and put endurance in both, I don't think that's a bad thing because you're getting a nice bump of vitality, which Guardian never looks askance.
Absolutely, that's usually
the critical rating doesn't hurt.
That's usually what I default to. So, okay, I put one there. So I've got one endurance and one dexterity. So I'm gonna slot the endurance there. I just did that on the one-handed hammer.
Mm-hmm.
Now, can I meld the dexterity gem?
You will be able to, yes, when the time comes.
Okay. All right. So I'll need to do that because I only had the one endurance gem. So
now let's go ahead and look at the runes that you have available and what you. I'm going with deflection myself.
Deflection is my favorite.
Yep. Deflection is very good. On my two-hand, I use avoidance because that brings, or is that my one-handed? No, that's my two-handed, and I use that because that brings in combat power regen, which sometimes you run a little short.
True. Yes. That happened to me the other day, or
And that
last
also builds
last
your
month.
evade, which is useful.
Okay. I guess. See, now that one I never even thought about. But okay. So my I've got 2 tier 8 runes right now, and they are defense and deflection.
Yep, yep. That's not a bad. That'll work.
That'll
I
work.
think that'll work. I would use deflection on the two hand, and I would use the defense on the one hand, because
Okay.
that's just going to be more solid in that position.
Okay. I'll use the defense on the one-handed. Okay, so my one-handed, I've got setting gem and rune all set. I've got with the might, the morale. Yes, the morale, the endurance, and the defense on the one-handed hammer.
And that's going to be your tanking hammer for instances, and for skirms, and for all sorts of good stuff like that.
Okay.
Whereas the two hand is going to be what you use when you wander around the countryside and just tear it up.
Right. And but I still have no gem on the two-handed hammer, so I've got that tier 8 dexterity gem that I would need to meld.
Okay, we can go ahead and start looking at some of this, because we also need to get gems for your. We also need to get setting gems and runes for your belt.
For the belt, yes.
All right. Now, there's 2 things that we can look at to do. Number 1, you can come up with. You can actually create relics just from shards.
Really?
Certain number of shards plus a tier 8 relic.
Right, so I can just shift it over. So if I were to
exactly,
if I were to go, so if I want to now, I would want to go. This is on the two-handed hammer. I would want to go endurance on the gem. Endurance, dexterity, or fortune, right? So.
Quick look. Yeah, I'm not such a fan of dexterity.
Yeah.
Fortune is a little bit interesting, but fate, not really. The endurance really is your best choice.
Yeah.
And that's what I have in each of my weapons, is the endurance.
All right, so I'm going to choose that, and I'm going to use the gem, because the gem, I'm not going to use a dexterity gem. So, all right, so I'll meld that. And boom, excellent. All right, so I can now slot my new endurance gem. Okay, so that's all good. All right, so I've now got my two-handed hammer actually has all 4 relics. I've never had a crafted relic in my life before, but having very generously gotten that one, the plus 30 might one in the mail, I now have all 4 relic slots filled on my two-handed hammer, and my one-handed hammer has the first 3 with the crafting still open.
And in time, we'll be able to get crafting, because another dirty little secret of Latro is that if you put the time and effort into your own crafting, let's see, you just got mailed some more THMs, by the way, so you may want to check that out.
All right, hang on, and check my mail.
But one of the dirty little secrets of Latro is that the guild portion of crafting, they have given you the ability to craft your own gems in that manner, and get some your crafted relics, and you can get some pretty nice ones.
Well, another Westfold device of might, I see.
There you go.
I've gotten here. And whoa, what is that? Oh, fused Kalinard relics.
Yep. That's you go to the deconstructor for.
Yes. A bunch of tier 8s. Wow.
Oh,
man.
Which is great, because we're going to go ahead and look for your belt now, because there's some really, really nice ones to think about for that.
Okay. All right. So so I've got my belt still with nothing. Let me go back to the relic master here. Let me deconstruct those things I just got in the mail. Thank you, Scott. This is awesome. Scott, you were setting me up with all these wonderful things. Very, very, very generous with your mail here today. Power, morale, Endurance gem. Woo! 2 of them. A double. All right. Okay, that was awesome. So now I've got now I'm good. I have 5 Kalinard settings of morale now.
Wow.
So that's good. So now can I build these up greater for the belt? I mean, the belt can take the belt of the first stage. Can it take higher than tier 8?
No, unfortunately
Okay.
not. It is still limited. It's the limitation is not on the belt. The limitation is on the relics. The relics have a requirement for what item, the level of the item that they'll be set in. So tier 9 is going to be, I believe that is 90. I'm going to say that's 85.
Oh, okay.
And up, and then tier 9, or no, that's tier 10. That goes to the top level.
Okay.
So yeah, there is a definite limit on what they will work with.
I see.
As far as on the lower side.
Right. I see. Okay. So tier 8 is the highest I can go. So what do I want to put on the belt?
All right. Now we're gonna get a little ambitious here.
Okay.
And see if we can pull one of these off for you. Although we need to make sure that we save enough relics that we can slot everything.
Okay.
But where the relic system really comes in to its max capability is if you take a look down towards below the tier 10s in the melding.
Right.
And you'll see where it's unique, singular, extraordinary, Westfold.
Yeah.
Great River.
Great River.
Open up Great River.
Okay.
Now take a look at each of these. Each of these is taking 2,496 shards
right.
and 3 specific relics to create one. But look at the abilities. Just take a look at the Great River setting of stability. Look at what it gives you.
Let's see. Wow. Massive incoming healing rating.
Oh, yeah.
Block, parry, and evade, and negative 5% item wear. Huh.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Exactly. Now think of that on the belt.
Right.
Which is a paragon of defense for you. This is the thing that's going to carry you through. This helps you reduce your item wear across the board, not just the belt, but everything that you're wearing.
Right.
And it increases your block, parry, and evade, which we've already said is a primary consideration for Guardians. And the incoming healing rating, well, especially if you're in dealing with, larger instances and so forth, you're going to have. Well, you already know because of all of the healing that you get from your running around.
Right.
This makes it better, more efficient. So if you take a look at each of these, you can see the sort of things that they give you.
Right.
The various settings, the various gems, the various runes. And, in some cases it becomes a matter of taste, but you know what suits your class best, and you can choose on that basis. Belts for the Guardians, I found, typically focus, if I pull mine up, because that is the route that I actually went with my belt, was I just put all different sorts of, I put the Great River set of beginnings in mine because I needed the mitigation, and power was always an issue, and that gives you vitality as well.
Right.
And then I used the true gem of the Watchwood, which is critical defense, which we talked about, block, parry, and evade, and vitality. That's huge defense.
Yes.
And then I also put the true rune of the Swift Light, which is morale, power, and a little bit of help to attack duration. So it sped it up so they would cycle faster.
Oh. Okay. Wow.
Those were the ones that I used.
Yeah, these are things I've never even I mean, I've never seen these at all. I didn't even know these existed.
Oh yes.
And some, yeah, wow, okay.
Now
Look at all these.
the problem with these is that in order to create the specific one, you basically have to have one of each setting or gem or rune to make it.
Right.
And that unless you have a full breadth of everything, it can make it kind of tough to be able to put them together.
Right.
Plus, there's the shard cost, which is not exactly light.
Right.
So, how are we doing in terms of the relics? Do you have the numbers to be able to create it? For instance, like see about the Great River setting of beginnings.
Well, see, the beginnings one, I could do that. Yes, I don't have the shards. I'd have to refine some shards.
Oh, we don't have the shards.
I don't have the shards. I only have. I'm a little over 2,000 shards short on that one. How many shards would I get from? So hang on. So I've got a random tier 6 rune here that I'm not using. Okay, and that would give me 192. Right. Okay, so
you have tier 6s and tier 7s. How many tier 7s do you have?
I have none actually, just tier 8s.
Oh, okay.
Right, yeah.
All right. In this case, as good as it would be to have this particular item, because I have no way to give you shards, unfortunately.
Right.
The only way we realize shards is through the various activities, through the forging crits and through the refining. It's the only way we have to build shards.
So these legendary shards I'm carrying around in my inventory are totally different. This is just for crafting.
Something else entirely. And we'll talk about that in a bit.
Okay.
So let's go ahead. Since this is the case, you can always replace. You can drop in another rune over the top of one if you don't like it. You
can?
Or you can go and you can remove the relics that you've got, though it costs.
Right, with the scroll.
Exactly. And then replace them once you have the shards to create. Of course, that will also increase what you have to be able to use.
Right. But okay, I see. So I didn't realize that I could. So I can always upgrade if later on I save up and get a bunch more relics. Then I can, I get more shards later on. Then I can, I can upgrade. I can still upgrade.
I'll tell you what. I am going to test that proposition right this instant because I can.
Okay.
Yes, you can.
Okay.
Any relic currently in the slot will simply be destroyed.
Right. Okay. Well, now that I've got tier 8 relics growing on trees over here, thanks to Scott's generosity, I'm not worried about that. So, okay.
Yep.
Good. So, should I just start then with tier 8 relics for today then?
Yes, I would. And then once you have built your collection of shards, we can go in and we can meld some of those really, really nice melded relics and really boost your capabilities.
I see that there's somebody in the chat who is teasing me about the state of my bags. Look, I know how to use my vault, okay? I'm just a pack rat, and you never know when you might need things, okay? So I am always prepared. Don't get on my case. Okay, so it's just the way it is. I've learned not even to try to fight it. Okay, so I should go ahead and slot tier 8 relics then?
Yes, sir, I would.
Okay, so I should go probably, I'm thinking morale for the setting?
That would be an excellent one, yes.
Okay.
Yes, morale would be preferable over might because the belt is primarily for your defensive purposes.
Right. Okay, and then for gems, I've got an endurance gem, so
that would be ideal.
That's a no-brainer. Yes, and I have. Okay, actually, I don't have any runes, so I have to meld a rune. Deflection. Okay.
Deflection would be your best choice because that is a combination of in-combat morale, which is vital, and parry, which is highly useful.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. So I can do that. Choose, and I'll choose one of my, I've got 2 gems of dexterity, which I'm never going to use, so, okay. All right, got my unusual. Again, I'm imagining their spreadsheet, right? They got this tier 8, and they're like, unusual? Shall we go with unusual? You know, we have, I mean, they used ancient for 5, right? Like, oh man, we already used ancient. What can we possibly call these? Okay, yeah. Mm-hmm. All right, good.
All right.
So
our next step is let's go ahead and build them up. You've broken all of these weapons.
Yeah.
So you now have all of these wonderful scrolls of experience to be able to apply them.
Yes.
We're going to go ahead and max out both of the weapons and the belt.
Okay.
Use them all to make sure that they get to max.
Okay. Let's see.
Plus, in the process of refining, you should have had crits from time to time that also gave you some gave you some additional experience, I believe. Yes.
I'm not sure I got experience from any of the crits. I got some legendary fragments and stuff.
No heritage runes though? No, I guess
I don't
not.
think so. Yeah, I don't think so. I've just got the 3 from the 3 ones that I did. So,
all right.
I'll just do what I can with those. So I'll put one. Again, the hammers are both at level 10 already, and the belt I just slotted. So should I start with the belt or?
Let's go ahead. Actually, let's see. We do not have any scrolls of delving on us at this point in time.
Yes, yeah, I do.
Okay.
I do because not only
how many do you have?
Well, 8. No, wait, hang on a second. So I've got there's more. So because this is again this is part of my mail day here. Scott sent me 2 more. I now have 3 greater scrolls of delving, and he also sent me 8 scrolls of empowerment, a greater empowerment.
Oh, wow. That's excellent.
Yeah.
All right. We want to, first of all, let's go ahead and use the scrolls of delving.
Okay.
The greater scrolls of delving, 1 to the belt for certain. Then we want to do the weapons after that, but the belt is paramount at this point.
Okay.
So that should go to 70.
Yep.
All right.
And
then we're going to go ahead.
I'm going to do the hammers too.
Yes.
Okay. So I've got 3 of those now. So, what's the difference between greater delving and regular delving?
There is a level limit that may be incurred.
Okay.
So, for instance, and you can see this, in fact, on the relic forging screen. If you look under melding once again, let's go and take a look at. It's the legendary support.
Right.
You can see lesser scroll of delving greater, and so forth, all the way on up to Anphalas. Each one of these has a maximum target level.
Target level. Right. Okay, I see that now.
Exactly.
I see that now. Got it.
All right. So we have delved them all, and all of them are now level 70?
Yes, level 70 max.
All right. So let's go ahead and apply our heritage runes to them. You should have a pile of them sitting. We'll go ahead and we'll start with the belt because we want to that's got the least, and we want to make sure that gets there. Let's start with the largest heritage rune that you have, and we'll see where that ends.
Okay. All right. So I'm applying the highest one. I've got 2 that are about 500,000, and I'm applying the first one to the belt. Okay. I should get to the Forge Master, I assume?
Yes, let's go to the Forge Master, and let's go ahead and start adding legacies and improving them.
All right. Okay, so going to the belt here. Okay. I'm
Mm-hmm.
reforging the belt. Okay, I've got, it's giving me, so miners are, you pick up miners when you reforge?
Well, we hope that the RNG gods are in our favor and give us majors,
Right.
but the likelihood is that you're going to get minors,
Okay.
unfortunately. And if that's the case, we just we roll with it, whatever the
Right.
best is that we can get our hands on.
All right, I've got 2 miners. The choices are Shield Smash and Warrior's Heart.
Well, you said you liked Warrior's Heart, I believe, correct?
Yeah, Warrior's Heart's good. I mean, especially since this is a belt and I want to focus on defense for the belt, right? So
Yep, there you go.
that seems like that makes sense. So, okay, so let's do that. And now we are reforging again.
Mm-hmm. This will add
Oh, I did get a major.
for 5th. Oh, excellent.
Guardian's Ward block rating.
Oh, yeah. Guardian's Word is good.
And the other one is some ridiculous number of stagger critical rating. Plus 3,256. What does that number even mean?
It adds to the number. If you delve into the guts of each of these various skills and the code that's involved, each builds a particular rating. So, for instance, if you open your character sheet and you take a look under offense and under defense, and you look at each one of those, there's a number beside most of them.
Right.
And basically that number is getting increased by, whatever these legacies are adding. And if you scroll over it, it tells you exactly how that figures into various things. So, for instance, I'm taking a look at my own resistance rating, which is sitting at 10,380. And that provides a chance of avoiding all effects. Against level 102 enemies, my chance to avoid all effects is 20.4%.
Right.
The more that increases, the greater the chance of being able to avoid. That's the sort of thing that's happening when those numbers are increased. And the larger you increase that number by, the more you increase that number by, the better you're doing.
Okay. I see. Ha. Oh, I see. I didn't even have show all stats clicked. I didn't even realize the number of stats I had that I wasn't even looking at. I see. Okay.
Yeah.
There's my mitigations and everything. How about that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Now, I would suspect that as a guardian, your mitigations are never going to be tremendously huge, because there's a lot of concentration that's going on in the avoidance style. But you will see them increase from time to time.
Right.
Physical probably more so than tactical.
Wow. I reduce incoming physical damage by 46% against level 75 enemies? That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Physical mitigation.
That's really pretty good.
Who knew? Okay. Yeah. Wow. All right. Okay, so I didn't understand that at all. All right, that's cool. All right, so Guardian's Word. I should go with the Guardian's Word.
I think that's the better choice in this case.
All right, so we'll do that.
Guardian's Ward is a regularly used one, and it provides not just damage, but it also slows your opponent, and it increases just a whole bunch of things for you.
Okay, and I on the next one. I got another major. I got cry resist chance reduction.
Oh, that's really good.
Yeah.
That's going to help you. That's going to help you in Yellow Line with your War Chant.
Yeah.
That's going to help you with Cataclysmic Shout. There's a bunch of
does that help to help me to make sure I'm drawing aggro when I shout to.
It is going to help you, yes, with your
to make those mobs stop ignoring me when I'm okay.
Yep.
All right, so I've gotten up to level 31. Should I have another go with the other rune?
Yes.
Okay. All right, I'm going to apply that one to the belt too.
So now we have all the legacies that we're going to get.
Okay, wow. That was pitiful. Okay, it only got me 7 more levels. So, all right, so should I oh wait, so so that's all the legacies that we're going to get. From here it's just upgrading.
That's correct. From here it's just upgrading. Now, there is a way that we can upgrade or get an additional legacy. but it's a very tough one. It's a very rare item that you have to try to pick up, and unfortunately, I don't have one available, and they're very, very expensive. I mean, they're going for like 100 plus gold or more. I can't remember. What is it? The Crystal of Remembrance, I believe it's called, if I recall correctly off the top of my hand. And that allows you to add another legacy, typically a major.
Right. Okay.
So it's worth it. Absolutely, in the future going forward, if you have a first age legendary item, you want to take the time and spend the end expense to go ahead and pick one of those up and add that extra legacy.
Right.
But for these purposes, it's enough that we know about it.
Okay. I have one more heritage rune. Should I throw that one? It's smaller, but should I throw that one on the belt as well?
We can go ahead and do that, and we'll just let the hammers experience up normally.
Okay.
Whatever gets the belt further, and I noticed that didn't push you over.
Oh, look at that! We're like 1,000 experience away from the next reforge. Actually,
that'll go quickly.
Yeah, that'll go quickly.
All right, let's take a look at the legacies.
Okay.
And make sure that they're where you want them to be, or if there's something that you feel would be a little bit more efficient, and we have a legacy scroll to be able to place over the top of it.
Okay. Let me see here.
Let me do a quick inspect, and I can look at... Do you have the belt equipped?
I think... No. I should probably do that. How about I do that?
Let's get it equipped.
There we go. Okay, now it's equipped.
And I will inspect again. Yes, it is. Look at that. So you have Cry Resist Chant. Now, let me just do this. Yeah. No, I can only do that. So you have Cry Resist Chance, Guardian Ward Block Rating, Challenge Targets, Catch a Breath Morale Heal, which we want. Sting damage is pretty good, and Warrior's Heart Fortitude Morale. I think that's a list to be satisfied with.
Okay.
If there's anything that you would prefer, I would probably, although sting damage is a helpful thing to happen, and I don't know where that is in your cycles of usage.
I do use sting sometimes. I mean, I bet usually sting is what I reach for when I'm still waiting for my others to cool down. But I've got the adaptability block and parry rating. Should I maybe replace sting with that one?
You certainly could, especially since sting is not something that is right at the top. I mean, it would be a different thing if it was like whirling, or if it was retaliation or whirling retaliation,
right.
Something that is right up at the front of your usage.
Right.
Or even if you were dealing with, like, for instance, sweeping cut or vexing blow, which are more things that
right.
help you gather aggro for yourself, as well as strike multiple enemies, area of effect items, which are more important to you than a single shot.
Right.
So I would say, yes, that's not a bad idea.
Okay. So why don't I try that then? The other major... Oh, wait, hang on a second. I've got a couple other majors over here. Other majors that I have to switch out. Okay, this one is challenge targets, but I've already got that.
Yes, you do.
And this one is sting damage. Okay, fine. All right. Well, all right. Excellent. The other one I have over here is shield damage.
But that's a minor, I think, isn't it?
No, that's a major, actually.
That's a major? That can come in helpful, very helpful. You don't have anything else to help buff your shield. And especially when you're running in blue line, that will be of aid to you to have that shield damage legacy in there.
What is so of course the basic legacy, the top one here is shield use rank. I don't even know what shield use rank is exactly.
If you roll over shield use rank, what shield use rank determines is your tactical damage rating. It's damage that you do outgoing of a particular type. Bear in mind that there are various, that you have physical damage, you have tactical damage, there are a variety of other types of damage. And what this does is this either goes through or bounces off depending upon what your target's defenses are against that specific item. It's simply another way of dealing damage. Like, when you think about your weapons, for instance, you can put various titles on them that give them abilities, right, or they may give them a damage type, like Balerian damage, or fire damage, or light damage, along those lines. Tactical damage is in that sort of idea. Right.
Okay.
Now that one, I should hasten to say, is an automatic. That just like the straight damage up on your hammers this is just straight up, can't be changed out. You can only increase it by putting points into it. There is no tier involved. It just sort of is. But you definitely want to have it. You definitely want to build it up.
Okay. Right. Okay, good. All right. So I was going to swap out the... I was debating between block and parry and shield damage.
You can never have enough block and parry. However, shield damage is a tremendous thing to have.
Yeah. All right, why don't I do that? Also, I'll replace sting damage with shield damage. Okay.
The only reason I recommend that instead of block, parry, evade is because for us Guardians, damage is at a premium.
True enough. Especially in blue line, for crying out loud. Yes.
Especially in blue line.
Yes.
All right.
Good. All right.
Now,
so I think those are set. So now the question is empowering them, right?
Yes.
All right.
We want to go ahead and we want to. This is a very good time to start using our scrolls of empowerment.
Well, I see that my challenge targets is already at tier 5. That's cool.
Yep. That's one that we absolutely want at tier 6.
Right. Okay. So I'm going to use my scroll of greater empowerment there, and I'm going to choose challenge targets. Okay. Excellent. So that is now tier 6.
Yes, I'm seeing that. Because you changed out sting damage, I believe, right? Let me refresh my inspect, because I was still seeing sting damage. Okay, so in place of sting damage, we now have shield damage, which that looks to be tier 2, I think.
Tier 2, yep.
We will definitely want to increase that by 1 or 2 tiers at least, to make it less expensive.
Yeah.
Let's see, it looks like Catch a Breath is tier 3, Cry Resist and Guardian's Ward Block are tier 4.
Yep.
And Warrior's Heart is tier 5, the minor.
Yeah.
Which is not bad. That's not bad at all.
Okay, I just increased shield damage to 3. I'll do it one more time. And I still have, I've got this, I'm using, I will still have 5 scrolls left after this one. So
okay. What we can do is, you're in a pretty good place with these at, let's see, so shield damage has gone to tier 4. Let's go ahead and put Catch a Breath, Morale, Heal to tier 4 as well. So that way you've got nothing less than tier 4 on your belt, and that'll have you in a pretty good place until you can start cranking these out yourself.
Right.
And this also saves us a few that we can go ahead and do some work on your hammers with.
Great. Okay. So good. Yeah, so those are all tier 4. Excellent. Now, what's your strategy for actually applying the points? Do you like to max out a single one? I always find it a little frustrating because my tendency at first was always to just kind of sort of distribute it and bring them all up, like a few ranks at a time. But then I would get to the place where I'd have to level it up 3 times before I could increase a single legacy 1 point. Is it better to just kind of max out one and then go and start another one, or how do you do that?
I've generally found it to be a mix. What I will typically do when I am applying points to my various legacies is I will start out with the top legacy, in the case of the belt, shield use. In the case of weapons, the damage.
Right.
And I will take that all the way to the top rank, which is going to be 7.
Right.
Now that's a hideously large expense of points, but that is a primary item for that legendary.
Okay.
So worth doing.
All right.
Then really how I go about it from there depends an awful lot on what exactly is what legacies I have.
Mm-hmm.
In the case of something like a challenge target, absolutely it's worth taking that one to the max and then just start trying to distribute stuff wherever you can. What I will primarily go for beyond that is I will try to raise stuff up that I get the most benefit from on a per level basis.
Mm-hmm.
Other than the challenge targets item, if you see something that is only going up like by +1 and the next one only gives you another +1 increase and the next one only, that is one that you're not getting a tremendous amount of benefit from.
Right.
On the other hand, if you have something that is going to let me see if I can pull up something that I have a ways to go on. Okay. So for instance, on another thing that I have currently slotted for leveling, I have Catch a Breath Morale Heal.
Right.
Which for each rank I put up, it goes up 2.75%.
Right.
That's something that you're gaining a real tangible benefit from each level you put it up.
Right.
On the other hand, I've got War Chant Duration.
Right.
Which is a good thing, but that's only going up that's a minor legacy that's only going up by +1 each time. And it's doing it at a very steep cost. That's not really worth as much to my time or effort to do it as, for instance, the percentage where I'm getting a good jump, or for instance, Guardian's Ward Block, which I also have on this, which starts off at a +1132,
Mm-hmm.
and once I'm finished up, it's almost at a +1300.
Right.
So you're getting extra tangible benefit, a nice large jump. Where are you getting the best jump? You essentially have to take a look at the particular legacy and see.
Right.
Each one's going to be a little bit different.
Okay.
But that's how I prioritize it. And at the end, if I have some points left over, I'll plow them back into some of the ones that are not as good.
Okay. All right. Because I just so I maxed shield use and I maxed challenge targets, and then I put some in the morale ones in Catch a Breath and Warrior's Heart. Those were both cheap, and I only had a few points left. So okay, good. So I spent my points on the belt. And this is, by the way, this is what, am I correct in thinking this is what the Scrolls of Renewal are for? If I wanted to redo that?
Scrolls of Renewal, if you find that setup isn't working terribly well for you, or you think you made a little bit of a mistake you want to retweak, you just hit a Scroll of Renewal, and it resets it, and you can start applying points again.
Okay. Great.
Exactly how it works.
Okay, excellent.
Okay, while we're here on this screen, I am going to tell you about one other thing that we can take a look at here. This is not something that you're going to want to do now, but especially once you get up to when you're looking at essentially your end game for stage.
Right.
You see where it says upgrades?
Yes.
Those are starlit crystals. You apply a starlit crystal and it gives you an upgrade to this particular item.
Oh.
And that increases the capabilities of it. Basically, it basically goes across the board with increases to stuff.
Oh, hey! I just found a starlit crystal with my Runekeeper. Can I mail that to myself? Is that
Yes.
it's not bound to the character?
You may want to take a look at it. Sometimes they are, sometimes they aren't.
Okay.
But if it's not, you can certainly mail that across.
Cool.
And have that applied, and that will increase the capabilities of your belt, or the hammer that you apply, whichever the case may be. In your case, I would start with the belt. As I've said before, first stage items are definitely worth putting everything that you can into them.
Right.
They will reward you. There's just no question about that. I've experienced it too closely.
What does the upgrade actually do? What does it grant?
Oh, I wish I had one in front of you so I could tell you specifically. If I go over here, let me go ahead and just there we go. Now let's see how long it takes for this to actually pull up. Hopefully not long. Oh, come on. We are slow today on the computer because of trying to do extra things like you. My connection's burdened out. Here we come. What it does will allow you a maximum of 3 crystals may be attached. These increase all legacies of the legendary item except for the following: seconds cooldown, seconds duration, and plus or minus percentage based damage costs.
Okay.
On a weapon, each crystal also increases the base damage per second rating. So, for instance, a base damage per second of 149.7. One crystal would increase that to 150.5. 3 would increase that to 152.
Okay.
So there is a tangible increase that does provide in those terms. And then, of course, it goes down and it affects your legacies accordingly as well.
Cool.
With the exceptions that were named.
Right.
Starlit crystals, a bit of a rare drop.
Yeah.
So they're not.
I'd never seen one before. I just got one the other night, and I was. Yeah, I had no idea what it was. So, needless to say, I've been carrying it around in my bags ever since because I didn't know what it was or what to do with it. So that's generally what I do with such things, is carry them around forever.
That's that whole pack rat thing.
Exactly, yeah. Because you never know when it might come in handy. That's the thing. No. I wouldn't want to be without it,
And now you have something where it will come in handy. That belt will reward its attachment.
Yes. Okay, excellent. I will see if I can use that to upgrade the belt then. When I'm next on my Runekeeper, I'll send it over. Okay, cool. That's excellent. So then with the hammers, since I don't have any runes with which to level them up any further, I just need to. Now it's not letting me rank up. My rank up button is grayed out. I don't know why that is.
Let me see what you are.
I've got level 10. On both, I've got 90 points available on each one.
It could be. I've noticed that sometimes happens. Like I've got 5 available on one of mine, but that's not enough to do anything with. Oh boy, what would interfere with that? The only thing that would interfere with that, if you've got 90 points, you should have something that you can apply to. Take a look and see what your various costs are.
Any of them. I mean, all minimal.
Any of them it will.
Yeah, they're all single digits, but it's still not. It's still grayed out.
Okay. Um,
It's weird.
there's probably something that you have up on your screen that's interfering with it.
Oh
I
yeah, that's
wouldn't
probably
want
so. Let's see.
to or,
Oh
or
yeah, sorry. I had the Forge
because you
Master
should.
open. That was it. That was it.
Yeah.
The Forge
Yep.
Master. Okay.
Yep. That'll do it.
All right. Okay. I don't know why. All right. So I'm just gonna rank up the DPS for both of them as far as I can.
That's a good start.
Okay. I can get them both up to rank 4.
Hmm.
So, oops. Oh, see, look, I accidentally did the wrong thing. Hang on. I was on the wrong one.
That's what all those scrolls are for.
Exactly. Hey, yeah, I'm there sitting around. I'm just gonna use that. Why not?
There you go.
I don't even know how long I've been carrying this around since I entered Moria, basically, and I've never used one. Woohoo! Look at that. That was awesome. Okay.
Yep.
Ranking up the. All right. Okay, so I'm rank 4 on both of those, and now I'm going to rank up whirling. Oh man, on the two-handed hammer, I've got whirling retaliation, vexing blow, and sweeping cut.
Oh, you're gonna have a fun time with that.
Man, that's pretty awesome. That is pretty. It's like this hammer is like the Yellow Line Dream. I mean, this is wow. Okay. All right. Cool. Okay.
All right. So we have our hammers settled. We have our belts settled. So we're in pretty good shape there. Now you're just exactly what we've talked about this entire time is how you're going to continue to treat these, and the same will go for anything in the future. This is basically the pattern for working them up from here on out, and for working future ones up. And then how you feed all of that is what I talked about: slotting, building, and then breaking just additional spare legendaries.
Right.
And you really want to always try to do that with legendaries that are either at your level or as close to it as you can get.
Right.
Because that's what's going to give you the most bang for your buck.
Right.
If you go back and you slot a level 60 legendary, and you build it up, you'll get decent out of it, but it's not going to be like if you're doing it to a level 75 or a level 75 legendary.
Right.
So you want to try to keep yourself stocked with those. You can take a look in the auction house; people will have them. What is your crafting? What do you craft?
I am a scholar, so I've got history and weaponsmith.
All right, so you're not really well. I guess you could make I don't know how you've been building up your weapons, but no, you have to have you can craft. Obviously, you can craft legendaries.
Now you say that, but I have no idea how actually.
Okay.
How do I craft legendaries?
This is a guild process. You have to craft legendaries. You have to be gilded, and then you'll be able to. You will have, when you build that up, you will have access to the recipes, to the legendary item recipes that your particular style of craft, the one that you've gilded yourself in, can create. For instance, Nitesh here is a metalsmith. So I have availability of belts is primarily the ones that he does.
Okay.
AKA the wonderful thing that you're wearing now.
Right.
In the case of the hammers, that was my woodsmith, my woodworker, Darren.
Now you can only be gilded in one craft, right?
That is correct.
Right. Okay.
So anything for yourself, which is too bad. That would make that easier, but then that's
right. Yeah. So
that's what friends are for, and the age is for,
right.
And then whatever you find on the landscape.
Exactly. Yeah. I haven't. I'll have to. I can't. So all right. So I'm not able to craft items for Wigend because I don't have a gilded metalsmith or a gilded.
weaponsmith in this case,
weaponsmith,
or
yeah.
woodworker, because a woodworker can do it as well.
I do have a gilded woodworker.
Oh,
I do have one
then
of those.
then you can make your if he has the proper recipes, you can make yourself hammers. I believe you can make yourself clubs as well.
Okay.
And I can I don't recall Guardians using spears, but you may want to look at that as a single-handed item.
Okay.
But you you can get yourself at least 2 or at least 4 in one-handed and two-handed clubs and hammers. And that's 4 that you can work on. Obviously, you're not going to be able to pull any legacies from that to use on your belt, but you potentially can use that on future hammers or swords or whatever you happen to get for your actual use weapons.
Right.
And those really aren't the important thing anyway, because you're using that whole process to build your legacies, to build your relics. Increase the number of relics that you've got, the bulk of relics that you've got, and also to get to that point, like I said, that sweet spot. Once you've got a lot of 7, 8, 9, and 10 relics to work with, you want to keep doing this so that you can build up the number of tier 6 legacies, so you can refine them and refine them and refine them for shards.
Right.
Because as we've seen, the shards are important for everything that you want to do in terms of melding, and there's really, really, really good stuff to do in melding.
Right. Great. Yeah. No, that's awesome. I'm looking forward to upgrading to some of those Great River relics. That'll be awesome.
It really is a bit of a thrill the first time you pop one of those out. And
Yeah.
see what it's capable of doing. And then you put it in, and wow.
Yeah, that looks great. Okay, cool. Can you show me the armor you were talking about?
Absolutely. If you'll follow me, he is, let's see, am I going the right direction? Yes, I am, right down here. This gentleman right here, Lugdagnir, is the adventurer's quartermaster. And he has armor from, I forget what the name of this particular instance is, but it's the big dragon in Edidwaith.
Okay.
And there's a whole raid that's built around that, which my understanding is it's gone completely broken and not really doable at this point. But that's okay, because you can come to this guy and you can pick up this gear from him if you have the marks and medallions.
Yeah, I'm doing reasonably well for marks and medallions.
As long as you have access, I don't think he's gated by any rep. You should be. If you go and you can sort his, you can filter his items just to Guardian gear. And hopefully all of that handy stuff is usable by you.
The only things that I do, all usable by me, the only things I don't have access to are the ones that are linked not to marks and medallions, but to Scorched Shoulder Guard token. Yep. What on earth is... Where does one come by a
That is something that you can pick up through there's some instances that you can do on a daily basis here, and you can pick those up through there, but it doesn't matter.
Okay.
Because if you look down to the bottom...
Oh, I can get those anyway. Good.
You can get them anyway.
Okay. All right, so this... so let me just compare the chest plates here.
Oh, yes.
Yes. Well...
Is that a bit of an improvement?
Compares quite favorably to my level 67 Matham Hunter's breastplate there. Okay. Yeah. Nice. Level 75. Okay. And, and it adds the combination bonus, might, and then plus 200% Warrior's Heart Fortitude Morale heal.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Mm-hmm. That's handy. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
So that's a good upgrade.
All of this stuff is going to be good. You want it for the set. The only thing I took it at this point in time, at this level, I came over here and I got it all.
Yeah.
It was Period.
Yeah. Yeah, excellent. Okay. Um,
And
I'm just looking to.
it looks pretty sharp too.
Yeah, I bet. Let's see.
Here's how it looks. Of course, I'm not a fan of the helmet, so I switched for a different helmet. But otherwise, this is that armor set.
Oh wait, how do I examine you again? I'm forgetting. Oh, examine. There it is. Okay,
I'm
I got
wearing it cosmetically as opposed to really. If what you see is quite different.
Oh, all right, it's not letting me examine you. I think while I'm in dialogue with it. Huh? It's not letting me do that. I don't know what I'm doing wrong there. Oh, because it's with him, not you. I see. Right. Good grief. Okay. Yeah. Inspect. That's what I meant to do. Okay. So which outfit is it? Outfit.
This is my. Well, I'm wearing it, so yeah. If you actually look at my image on screen, I'm wearing the armor with the exception of the helmet.
Right.
But it is my last outfit.
It's your last outfit.
Which I believe is number 8.
Wow. Yeah. Oh, that is impressive. Okay. Cool. All right. So I'm going to go back to Lugdagnir over here.
Mm-hmm.
I forget what Lug means. Dagnir I know means slayer. I'm trying to figure out what he's the slayer of. Lug. I forget what Lug is.
Well, it isn't because I'm trying to think. Wasn't there a I don't know whether to say Welsh or Celtic, but Lug, the long head,
Right.
Lugh.
Yes. Okay, let's see. So I got the. I'm picking through because I'm not going to be able to get the whole set because I don't have quite enough medallions for that.
Okay.
The medallions are clearly going to be my limiting factor, so I'm picking the ones which are the biggest upgrade over the ones over what I currently have.
Okay.
So I think the boots were also a pretty big upgrade. Actually, no, wait. I want to go back to the chest plate.
Mm-hmm. Just remember to come back to him when you have enough to get the rest.
Yeah.
Because as you saw, the set bonus.
Yeah. If I can get, I'm trying to see if I don't. I think I can squeeze 4 out. So
that would be ideal.
Yeah, that's what I'm shooting for here. Okay, I'm gonna get the pauldrons. All right. So that's 3. Yep. 1 more. Okay, I've got 1 more. I don't have 2 more, but I can get exactly 4. So that's good.
Very good.
So I need, I think, helmet or boots. I think I'm going to go with helmet. Yeah.
You'll have to decide whether you like the helmet or not. I'm not a huge. I wore it, but I'm not a huge fan of the. Did you see that when you put it on?
No, what happened? Did I blow up? What happened?
Yeah, there was a little glow that occurred.
Let's see. Ooh, yeah, cool. That's for the set bonus?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, nice. Now that really jacks up Warrior's Heart. That's pretty cool.
Let me give you a few things to help you along as well. Here's a shield that should be of good service to you.
Oh, Theodred's shield. Oh, that's excellent.
Yep. And then your good friend Erethin had some stuff too.
Oh, lovely.
So I am going to go ahead. Hopefully you have room for all of this.
Wow.
That's all of it.
That's like a full set of jewelry. Wow.
It
okay.
is.
likely to be an upgrade. I think I do have room for all that. Yes, barely. Okay, so let's see.
Let me show you. There's one other thing while we're here.
Oh yeah,
with
my
these
jewelry's
folks that I do want to show you. Just like Luke Dogner had that stuff available for, marks and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
Over in the Skirm camp, there is a particular vendor that is always worth paying attention to. He would have been good at 65 for you had you had the opportunity to go there. 75, unfortunately, is a break point that it doesn't really have as good a material. But when 85 rolls around, again, you'll be in a decent position. Although at that point, you'll probably be looking at, for instance, going with stuff in Rohan.
Right.
Which there's some Hitbold in particular, I think, provides some really good armor. But this is also good for your other characters. Let's go over to the skirmish camp that's over here on the other side of the...
Sorry, I'm like equipping all my new jewelry here.
Okay.
As this uppy.
Oh, by all means.
Okay, here we go. Yeah, I'm working my way through my... I just noticed something. Mm-hmm. Which I was just laughing at, which is that my Wigend, it's the pocket item that he has, is a dinosaur figurine that looks exactly like the evil dinosaur figurine from Mortrimborr back in Volume 1. I didn't realize that I was carrying such a thing around with me there. Okay, cool. And let's see, what was there was one other thing. Where was the other thing? Oh, yes. Okay, the shield, right? Mm-hmm. And the shield is significant upgrade from level 61 to 79. So, yes, that will... cool.
I always found remarkable how well the shield's upgraded.
Yes.
Variously. There are a few that you will come across as quest rewards, primarily in the epic line, but not just, that just will blow away anything that you had previously.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Excellent.
Are you ready to go take a look at the skirmish vendor quickly?
Sure. Yeah. Absolutely.
All right. They're over on the far side of this part of the complex. Go this way. And then we can go down here. Because they're right over here.
Right.
And let's see, where is he? I am looking for the classic. He's over here. This gentleman right here. In any
classic,
in any skirmish camp, really has some pretty good stuff, and it ranges across a pretty good selection of levels, as you can see. In particular, the next level that you would be looking at is 85.
Right.
For a variety, because if you think about how the progression of power bumps goes, they pretty much tied it to every time the game capped level wise.
Right.
So 55 to 65 to 75 to 85 to 95, then to 100, then to 105.
Okay.
So your next one, this set of armor, once you finally complete it from our buddy Luke Dagner, should really be pretty good for you. Mm-hmm. Until you get into the upper reaches, until you get close to 85, if indeed not to 85 itself.
Right.
And then what you can do is you can come over here and take a look at this guy and check out the Barrett Guldur set.
Yeah, that's what I was just looking at, the level 85 heavy, yeah.
Is real nice.
Yeah.
And some of the others. And
Wow.
keep this in mind for your lower level characters like Grifflet coming up.
Yep.
Because once he starts getting it, well, Grifflet is probably pretty close to there.
He's getting close to 50. He's like
Yeah.
48 now, I think, something like that.
hmm So there's stuff that he's going to be able to take decent advantage of in fairly short order.
Right.
Just coming in here and grabbing some of this. The Eregian set is not too bad, all told. Even though it's purple. Where's the Heligrod is pretty good. Where was it? Great Battle. No, they didn't have it. But Anuminus at 65 is top flight.
Right.
So this is definitely something to keep in mind in terms of that. Also, jewelry coming up, especially lower level. It pays to go to the jeweler here in the scrim camps, because the jewelry that you can get from them is really pretty cheap and will help build your lower level characters up quickly till you get to a point where you can find some really good stuff.
Okay. Okay. Great.
Also, another thing to point out, this guy over here, Mr. Legendary Items. You can spend marks on things like scrolls of empowerment, scrolls of delving, titles, which, by the way, we didn't put titles on.
We didn't put titles. Yeah, I have one title in my inventory. Where was it? Over here. Yeah, it's the it's a Balerian damage title. Should I put that on like my two-handed weapon, or
on your hammer, or on either of your hammers? The one that you expect to use the most should get the first title, but titles are relatively cheap to come by, and there's a variety of places that you can use them, so don't feel bound to a particular one, because you can always go and pick up a title from somebody else, to help it, especially if you have your rep built up with.
Oh yeah, these are dirt cheap. I could buy 100 of these.
Yep, there you go. Also, you can, as you see, you can buy relic packs from this guy, too. When you are in a position where you're ready to make some, he sells second age symbols. He also sells first age symbols for really fairly reasonable amounts. And you can get also up to like level 100 second age symbols, although they haven't added those first age symbols yet, which is probably pretty wise, because everybody would go nuts. But for your belt, this is where I came. I came to this guy and I picked up I believe it was was it a worn symbol or was it a tarnished? It was a worn symbol of the Elder King. And then, of course, you can also get heritage runes from him.
Right.
So your skirm camps are definite resources for these two things at the very least.
I see.
And I was about to say, and I understand you do like to do skirms too to help build things up, so that'll help you with your marks and so forth.
Yeah, I have I started off this evening here with like 4,000 and some marks, mostly just because my Runekeeper has just been finishing Volume 2, so I've just been doing all of the Dol Guldur skirmishes with him. So,
yep.
Okay, cool.
Well, I think that gives you a pretty good foundation for the legendaries. Hopefully, that also helps out some of our watchers too.
Great.
And that should also help set you up equipment-wise going forward for a good while.
Great. Excellent. Yeah, no, my equipment's in a much better shape right now than it was. Good. Yeah, okay. Darn it. Let me... All right. Just equipping my two-handed hammer here.
Oh, certainly.
Just to kind of see what that looks... Oh, yeah.
Take a look at something here first. I'm going to go ahead and hide that. Because
just doesn't look right with my scholar outfit. Okay. Yeah, nor my party outfit. Cool.
Now, I know another thing that we had sort of discussed was trying to get, because one of the things that I had noticed from watching your wanderings in Great River was that it kind of seemed like you were across the board on your various lines as far as hunting and clicking out on your various skills.
Yeah, okay, so first of all, one of the reason that I use the reason that I've always been in the habit of clicking with my mouse instead of using keyboard commands is because I use a Mac, and the keyboard commands are set up for PCs. Like, for instance, I don't have an Alt button. I have to push two buttons in order to. I have to push function and option in order to get Alt. So it's too complicated.
Yeah, that doesn't work.
So I can't. I'm not that dexterous. So I mean, I will often. That's why I have my main combat ones down on the bottom line, because this one I will often do those with my hand. But anyway, we can. I'll try that. I'm being told that I can change those. Maybe I can set these up in a way that I can try to break myself of the habit of using my mouse in combat. So basically the way that I have my skills set up here is I won't call it haphazard, because it isn't. I mean, you can see there's a certain amount of grouping going on there. But this is like, there's been so much accretion over time. I haven't radically altered these since I leveled up from quite low levels. So it's not very efficient.
I understand. You're probably due for a bit of a cleanup.
I think so. Yes. I should probably do that.
I would definitely do that, because it from what I've seen of some of your work, it does seem like it's a little uncomfortable at times for you, trying to go and click on certain things, because you're jumping around from something that should be right next to something that just kicked it off is instead in another section of your bars.
Right. The one thing that I have, like, for instance, like these three in a row, right? You know, I have shield blow followed by shield swipe followed by bash. So I have, like, when I'm fighting, I kind of think about this sequence and then this sequence over here.
Very typical.
And then I have my my three AoE attacks kind of clustered together right up here. So I do try to keep those in, and then these are like my quick shot ones over here that I go to when I'm cooling down.
I would suggest this, especially for Yellow Line. I would break. I know you've got Whirling Retaliation grouped with Sweeping Cut and with Vexing, because those are your AoEs.
Yes.
What I would suggest is this. Just a little bit different. Having Vexing and Sweeping Cut together is not a bad thing. Mm-hmm. But Whirling Retaliation is dependent upon it is a parry response.
Right.
As is the original Retaliation.
Right.
The thing that will kick it off each and every time, irregardless, is forcing opening.
Force opening, right.
You force opening, immediately you're going to have access to both retaliations.
Right.
So you kind of want to tie those together.
Right.
The other thing that I would do is don't forget the power of War Chant in those turns, because War Chant allows you to immediately clear the cooldown on the retaliations.
Oh.
So if you have those together, you can start thinking. It takes a little time and work at it, but you can jigger those sets of skills to the point where you're getting off. You'll find that a parry response will just kind of happen out of the blue.
Right.
And your retaliations will be up. Okay, trigger them. Now it's on cooldown. You can all of a sudden you can bring them back up again with a force opening, and War Chant will allow you to immediately get off another retaliation. Little things like that.
Right. Yeah. That I didn't know. I didn't notice the cooldown effect.
Yep. And the
of War
other
Chant.
thing is, when you use retaliation, immediately a redirect skill is available as long as it's cooled down. So
Wait,
that one is worth having.
which one?
Right there.
This way, redirect. Yes.
Redirect will automatic will if it's off a cooldown, it'll automatically be available for use, and it's strong, very strong for you. So it's something you definitely want to go ahead and kick off every opportunity that you get.
Yes.
So tying those together is again just a huge benefit for you.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I'll see. I'll do a little bit of reorganization.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I find I don't use charge much at all. I used to use it when I was in Redline, and it knocked a person down. That was always handy. So I used it a lot then, but I got out of the habit since I shifted to Yellow Line.
Yep. It's been almost useless for me as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I basically relegated it off to the end.
Mm-hmm.
The one other thing that I noticed is that you could probably serve yourself a little bit better by making sure that you're keeping your healing cycling through every opportunity that you get.
Yeah.
In particular, Catch a Breath.
I've gotten lazy with it. I think it's the legendary items. Like, because I was practically unkillable when I first got my legendary items, I kind of got out of the habit of using catch. I used to use that all the time when I was lower level, but yeah, ever since I got all the extra like morale per combat morale regen, I got out of the habit of using it. So
keep in mind, very similar to retaliation, Catch Breath relies on a parry
response
or a block as a response to that. So Force Opening will activate it for you. Also, Guardian's Ward has a really good chance of activating it for you because that increases your block as well as your parry rating. Plus, it gives you an additional percentage opportunity that a parry or a block will occur.
Yeah, and Guardian's Ward is also clearly something I just need to use more often. I forget about it.
Yep. So any way that you can get them into the regular rotation of things would help.
Yeah.
As far as structuring these so that they're usable on a keyboard basis, how comfortable are you in terms of using both Control and Shift on that Mac keyboard?
I mean, I can probably do. I'll experiment with it and see if I can get there. Shift is easy enough, obviously, and I'm pretty sure I can get Control. I might try and see. I mean, I was told I can try changing them on the on the options menu. So I'll experiment with that.
Yep.
But yeah, if I could switch that to the function button, it would be a good deal easy. Then I would at least,
that'd be beautiful.
Yeah, theoretically be able to do it.
That'd be beautiful.
I could try to train myself to be a button pusher instead of a clicker. I know it's like a stigma that I bear, and people have been making fun of me ever since I started streaming. They're like, "You're a clicker, seriously?" So it's.
Well, there are just some places where it is easier to click. I will tell you, for instance, as our good friend Erethan, a.k.a. Gloria Drael, a.k.a. half a billion other
yes.
mention, I do play Stowe. I confess that I am the one who dragged her into that.
Right. Yeah, she told me.
But there are, for instance, when I'm in the process of Starship combat, I don't use the hotkeys. I click.
Right.
It's simply easier in that particular case to do so because of how things operate.
Right.
But by dint of effort here in Latro, I've managed to whittle it down. I just basically keep stuff that I typically don't use under the Alt, and I just click those. That's stuff that, for instance, if I'm putting myself in a particular stance, say I'm playing my harper, my bard, I will set her stance, whether that's angry hands, or whether that's blue for max healing, or yellow. I will just set that up automatically, and then I can ignore everything else that's on the alt line, because everything else is either a straight number key, or it's off of controller, it's off of shift, which is just an easy reach. So there are ways that you can manipulate what is obviously what's where, so that you can get yourself a more comfortable way of doing it. But
I'll explain. I said I'm overdue for a complete cleansing of my bars, and if I can get that to shift, function, and control, I think I can have a go. I have some. I'm looking at it. I kind of have some ideas of how I could redo things. Also, when some of the, a bunch of these were set up when I shifted to yellow line, which wasn't that long ago. But of course, I didn't even know what half of these things did when I shifted to yellow line at first. So, and I haven't changed them since I first did that. So,
yep.
Yeah.
The other thing is how do you look much at consumables, especially as a tank? That's something that would be of a lot greater aid for you, I think, if you paid a little more attention to it.
So, what kind of consumables?
Well, there's all different sorts. I will tell you that from my time in raiding, we really got pretty crazy about it, as far as you had each and every type of food that was available according to your particular needs, whatever class that you were.
Right.
But in addition to that, you always had scrolls of battle lore and warding lore. You also had hope tokens. And then there were other consumables that you would have, especially extended ones. For instance, I don't know about you, but I have collected just scads of scrolls of max morale and power, which are tremendously useful. And the plus 5% attack damage. These are all stuff that you just get regularly off of the Hobbit gifts.
Yep, and I do. I carry them around with me. I'm a pack rat. See, look, I've got them right here. They're all here, just in case I need them. But I always forget about them. So yeah, I should probably put those on a bar so that I can remember them.
Well, here's two things to think. Well, number one, you've got the additional bars to work with that really don't tie to any keys per se, but are purely clickables.
Right.
And since those are things that you really set yourself for before any action happens, you can go ahead and leave them in that kind of situation where you're not tying up something that you really are especially if you're using keyboard and so forth.
Right.
So there's that aspect to it.
Okay. Okay. I guess I've always been a little bit worried about taking up too much screen real estate, but I could probably add another row. Yeah.
And remember, the UI is customizable enough so that you can get them off to the side. For instance, I actually have them vertical on my screen stacked. I've got two of them stacked next to each other off to one side, where the center of my screen is still open, but I've got them there to where I can go and click on them quickly and then move on.
Right.
So it is an option that you can look at in those terms.
Cool. I will. And that's still on the option menu with the UI stuff. I can shift. Okay. I've never really played with that. I'll experiment with that again. Okay. Cool.
We don't have to worry as Guardians too terribly much about what are popularly termed as POTS, which are things that clear wounds, fear, disease, poison, and stuff like that. Ignore the pain is
very handy. Yeah, exactly. Right.
Yes, it is. But certainly for others, that's something to bear in mind. Because there are also versions of them.
Especially the 5-second cooldown on ignore the pain is just it makes wounds and everything just kind of irrelevant.
Yes. But there are some of those, bear in mind, that you can use to apply to other characters in your fellowship.
Right.
So there is that aspect as well. The last item I would tell you about in terms of consumables, are you familiar with shield spikes?
Okay. Yeah. All right. Yes, but I don't know how to use them. I've seen them, and I'm like, those look cool. But I spent about 30 seconds once trying to figure out how to use them and failed and forgot about them afterwards. So how do I mount shield spikes?
Quite simply, they're clickable.
Really?
You just right click, it applies itself to your shield,
That's it.
and you have it available.
So that was too simple. That was my problem. Okay, and
Yes.
and I buy them. I get them from. I get those from like Guardian trainers or somebody.
You can find some, but others can be crafted. A weapon master, weaponsmith can craft them for you up to
Right.
the appropriate level. And they can craft you types that will apply different damage types. For instance, myself, I keep a set of Balerian and I keep a set of Western S on hand.
Okay. Okay. Right. Okay. I've got some. Oh, so you can just swap those out?
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, I see.
They
All right.
do have a time limit. They don't stay on permanently either, though.
Oh,
There's,
they're
for instance, I have a set of
right.
Westum Net
They're
Valerians, and those are good
consumables.
for
Okay.
35 minutes.
Okay. All right. All right. I didn't understand those at all. Okay. Um. So there's the. Yeah, I'm just looking. I'm a weaponsmith, so I'm looking at my own crafting screen right now, and I see in my Westfold.
Yep.
Westfold is my max right now, and I've got the Balerian Shield Spike kit and the regular Westfold Shield Spike kit. Okay.
There you go. You can make those up for yourself, and you can apply them just as you will. Now, there is a shield spike removal kit, but that is something that you can pick up at the Guardian trainer,
Right.
and that will just help clean them up, and that's got a 5-second cooldown. So,
Okay. I think it's this shield spike removal kit that confused me. Like seeing that there was a separate kit for removing the spikes, I think is what led me to believe that spikes were more complicated than I am now learning that they were. I'm not sure why
Not a whole heck of
exactly,
a lot.
but okay. So like basically after the time expires, I have to then remove them with the
No,
with the kit.
they're you can just renew them according to what you need.
Okay. All right. Okay. Well, I can pick up a removal kit because that's something else to carry around at the very least. So that's
Yes, and of course we need to pack it in. I've got one,
absolutely
so
yeah.
Lord.
You never know when you might need it.
Amen.
So cool, awesome. Excellent, good. Well, that's very handy. I actually meant to ask you about that, but I'd forgotten to. So I'm glad that came up. Good. Well, I should probably go and let people go. I've let you go, for instance. I know you have to be at work tomorrow, and I actually have to drive children somewhere depressingly early in the morning for this night owl. So I should probably get going fairly soon. Driving my kids to places is the thing that does me in. See, it's one benefit of working at Signum University is that I can make my own time schedule and don't have to start at 8 o'clock in the morning, except when my darn kids have to be places first thing in the morning, and then I have to get up. So, anyway, yeah, but so we should do that. But thank you. So I have learned so much tonight. It's all becoming so clear to me now. I've got plans for for instance, I have I'm carrying around. Wigend is currently carrying around 18 Kuzdul tablets, which I could cash in for fused relics, which I could get together and do some relic refining. That's one of the plans that I have now to try to build up some shards and maybe upgrade one of my settings. So anyway, so I've all these plans now for things that I can do, and I'm looking forward to using to leveling up my hammers. That should be good. So anyway, thank you so much.
You're certainly welcome. It's been my pleasure to help you. And if you have any questions at any time, by all means, you know how to get in touch with me.
Okay, very good.
Through our good friend, if nothing else. But you certainly have the contacts, and I'm always always willing to help.
That's right. Well, I appreciate it. Thank you so much, and thanks everybody for watching. We've had a good crowd here with us this evening as we've been talking. So I know D-Man, and thanks again, D-Man Scott, for all the wonderful gifts you sent me by mail. That was awesome. And anyway, I noticed that D-May was saying she's going to have to watch the stream a couple more times to make sure she gets all the legendary item stuff. So, but anyway, that's great. So thanks again, everybody. And we will see you guys around later. Look, get ready to see a far more competent and effective Wigend wandering again soon. So thanks, everybody. Good night.